Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we are going to talk about The Mist, Season 1, Episode 1. It is called, well, the pilot. We're going to start spoiler free because it's the first episode, and we'll give you a warning halfway through if we're going to go into spoilers before we go into spoilers. So that's what's going to happen. Now, Tim's here because this is a horror TV show, and that doesn't necessarily mean that any horror TV show Tim will fill in, but me and Tim do the horror movie review show, and we just, to accompany this, we just did The Mist, the movie from 10 years ago. That'll go up just after this. We recorded it first, but it'll go up after this. Probably pretty quickly afterwards. So make sure you check that out. I'll make sure there's a link or something in the corner. But yeah, so this is based on the Stephen King book. How much this show is based on the book, I question greatly. But the movie, of course, is about a group of characters who get trapped in a supermarket with the mist outside. There's big giant monsters in the mist of various sizes, and they're trying to survive. It's kind of a social commentary with all the characters kind of sort of forming factions and starting not to trust each other inside the supermarket. That's kind of the gist of the movie. The show, on the other hand, we have this main family, the Copeland family, the mother of which is a teacher at the local high school, and the dad is, well, I don't know what his job is actually. I don't think they mentioned what his profession was. And they've got a teenage daughter who's, well, she's a teenage daughter. She's got a best friend who's like a gay guy. Although he does point out later on that he is attracted to any gender, so maybe that's not quite right. Although everyone keeps referring to him as gay, so I think that's why it's stuck to me. And there's also a junkie character, a soldier character, and an old lady who's kind of random. And the mist does show up eventually, but a lot of this episode certainly had no mist in it. And well, Tim, what did you think of the Mist pilot?
You know, it was pretty interesting because I thought it started off pretty rough, but then by the end I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting and engaging. And I can't even finish that as a joke. This is utter garbage. Oh my god. This was awful.
This was terrible. Right from the start, dude. The acting quality of this show is spectacular and how terrible it is.
You know, I really have to applaud them at, like, how much they were able to not include even the tiniest bit of what made the movie so good.
Joe, what gets me is when we talked about the movie, we complimented it greatly for how well it handled social commentary.
Yep.
And I didn't expect this show to even try and do social commentary. It tried. It tries a lot to do social commentary.
Well, you know what? It was funny because in our movie review, there are two basic things, or I guess two, like, you know, overall things that we thought the movie did great, which was that, you know, it is like this great character piece, but it also worked as like a really cool horror sci-fi monster movie thing. And this got both of those completely wrong. Like, there was no monsters, and like all the interesting character stuff was replaced by the worst acted Lifetime movie, like teenage soap opera
cliche
garbage
stuff that just came out of nowhere. Or if it didn't come out of nowhere, it was so absurdly obvious and forced that it made me cringe. Like, when it cut to the mum in the family, like when it cut to her and she's getting grilled at her job by the principal because she taught things in sex ed she's not supposed to be, and I'm just like, oh my god, like the social commentary here is just not even trying to like be subtle. It's just so in your face, you know. And then 2 seasons later, where the gay kids being like, oh, your dad doesn't hear you when you're wearing makeup. Like, it's so blatant and screaming in your face. It is,
like it's like they literally had a checklist for like what makes something dramatic, and they were just like, all right, let's see, we're gonna have homophobia, bigotry, rape, junkie,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
abusive cops.
All these things, all of these things are here, and all of them feel awful. You know what? Full spoilers from this point on.
Yeah, let's
It's
just get
garbage
into it.
because I'll make it very clear right now. Do not waste your time. You shouldn't care that you're going to hear all the plot details because I am thoroughly recommending that you steer clear of this with every fiber of your being.
I never thought I'd say this, but Spike TV, I thought better of you.
I don't think I did.
From the network that brought us Lip Sync Battle, really?
Oh my god. So the worst character in this, I mean, there's a lot to choose from, but the worst character is by far the teenage daughter. First of all, her acting is atrocious. Like when she's first introduced, she's like, the nagging daughter's like, "Oh, come on, mom and dad, are we going?" And they go to the high school game, and the dad starts like, "There's more to life than looks. I know you just, you like that jock, the quarterback. I know he's very pretty." And it's just, it's so in your face. It is unreal. But basically, he lets her go to a party. The mother doesn't want to. The mother's very strict. Doesn't like letting her out. She's almost 17, which means she's still 16, so she's not getting let out. But the dad's like, just wait till your mum goes to sleep. You can go to the party for a couple of hours. Come back at midnight. No drinking. Blah 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 blah. Goes with her friend Adrian, and who's the. I don't want to say gay because he does say. I guess bi.
Bisexual.
Yeah, I guess bi is the correct word. He never really goes into it so much, but. He gets ridiculed and all that. He gets homophobic slurs thrown at him. That's how everyone just kind of sees him and stuff. But the joke that she has.
Also, sorry, I just want to point out real quick. Like, he seems like a pretty normal, reasonable, looking teenager, but everyone acts like so over the top. Like you said earlier, when he's at the table with his family and his mom's like, "Oh, your dad won't talk to you with makeup on." And I was like, "He's wearing makeup?"
I think he had a bit of mascara on. Or eyeliner maybe. I think that was it. It's this super dated ball, and I'm not saying that this doesn't happen anywhere to some extent. Yeah. It does, but this was just so surface.
In your face.
It was surface level. There was no depth to this. It was just, look, we're doing this. Yeah. We're doing homophobic issues.
Yeah, no one sounded like a real human being in this.
No one. But they're at the party, and Jock Man comes in and sort of defends him when the other jocks are sort of picking on him, and teenage girl looks very happy about this. Notice how I'm not using names. I'm using them simply by their character sort of purpose in the plot, because that's all they are. They are not characters. Right. Next day, the parents wake up and she's not in her bed, but they see her outside. She's just sort of sitting out in the porch sort of swing seat, and she comes in, and we saw no hint that anything was happened the night before. It cut literally from the scene of just him like, "Oh, do you want me to get you a drink?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll have a drink." And that was basically it. That was the end of that scene. There was no hint. I'm hitting my pop shield. I'm so upset about this. There was no hint of anything, and she's sitting there crying. And she just tells us that she woke up. She doesn't remember anything. She got drunk. She got basically blacked out, and she woke up and there was some blood. And I'm like, oh my god, are they actually going down the rape angle here? Because I'm like, this show has not convinced me in the last couple of minutes. The 10-15 minutes we were into this episode, I was not convinced that this show could pull off this with any tact or any understanding or sympathy or anything. It's just a stupid plot point. And we never saw any of it. And not that you'd see the rape itself, but there was never a hint of any malice. There was never a hint of anything. It's just her sitting there with her terrible acting, telling us that this happened. And then the parents get upset. And the wife gets upset at the husband because the husband let her go. And it's like, oh, yeah, you betrayed, blah, 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 blah.
Now,
every part of it's painful.
My theory is that this might be a plot point going on throughout the season. Maybe you'll learn what happened that night. Maybe it wasn't that guy. Maybe it was someone else. But it's so poorly done that you don't care.
Oh, I don't think it's the jock either. I think because the jock also happens to be the chief of police's son. So there's a conflict of interest when they go to the police to report the crime.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the episode, it's basically just bickering between the husband and the wife, and then bickering between the mother and the daughter. In fact, the worst scene of the episode might be, because sexuality is a big theme of this episode, because other parents are looking at her and they're glad she got fired for teaching her kids about sex. They're not happy. And at one point, the daughter actually says to the mother, "Oh, I've heard stories about you, mother. You used to be a slut." And then the mother slaps her in the face, and it's just, it's just, oh my god, the acting's terrible. I hated this so much. It was painful to sit through most of this. It really was. And then on top of that, the mist stuff itself looked atrocious. Like, see when the mist finally came and they were standing in the mist?
Yeah.
The visual effect of them being in that was horrible.
I mean, I was thinking about you because we were talking about the movie. One of the things you mentioned was like how bad CGI mist can look. Like in the movie, it looks good, but
yeah,
in other things when it's CGI, it just looks so bad. In this, it looked terrible.
It
like
was atrocious.
The mist, the CGI toads.
And also, I'm calling it right now. Adrian, her friend's the one who raped her.
That's what I was, thinking too.
Because later on, there's a random junkie character who we've barely even mentioned. She's got her own little thing where she's just trying to steal. She's trying to get her own money back from like where she buried it in her mum or grandma's house in the shed. But she gets arrested. She gets thrown next door, like the cell next to her is the soldier we've seen at the start of the episode who's seen something. He's basically a soldier from the Project Arrowhead, which was also in the movie. So that's the one element we've kept, I guess. And he comes running into the police and goes, "There's something in the mist," and so he's that character. He's the character who gets to say that line. But yeah, so this was another problem. See, when the mist came in, these characters, along with some other characters in some other scenes, seemed to understand how dangerous it was, even though they had no reason to. Because at one point, they're trying to convince the dad, who's at the police station with Adrian, who was brought in for questioning for the sexual assault. And she's like, "Oh, you need to let us out because you're a good person, and you'll never forgive yourself if because you're basically leaving us here to die." I'm like, how do you know the mist will kill you? You've not seen anything. I get why Soldier Man's saying that because he did see something at the start.
But well, even him, like he didn't really like he saw a dog that he thinks is his because it seems like he's having some type of memory problems. I don't even know if he really is who he says he is, but
he doesn't know his name. He just looks at his he looks at his like credit card or whatever to see his name. Yeah,
and then he sees a dog that he thinks is his, and it runs into the mist and then gets killed. And I feel like though he doesn't see anything, he just sees a dead dog. Like I think most people would kind of just be like, "Oh man, there's like a bear or something in the mist. Some crazy thing did that." Like you wouldn't automatically jump to, "Oh my god, there's crazy monsters. Like, we got to get out of here."
I'll at least accept maybe he's seen something that we didn't.
Okay.
Because since he was in the mist, like I'll accept that if that's what they tell me.
Also, like I love how much the cops like overreact. Like when he comes to him, like at first they're kind of like, "All right, well, like tell us your name and stuff, blah blah." Then he's like, "Oh, there's no time," like blah blah. And then they like just go straight into like, "All right, let's just start like beating him up and like tossing him around and stuff."
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Like he didn't do anything wrong. Like maybe he's a little crazy. Maybe you think he's on drugs, but it's not like he's threatening anyone or has any evidence of a crime.
I wonder if this is again them trying to do some social commentary because
I'm sure
because the character the soldier's black, and I'm wondering if they're trying to have some sort of statement. But like everything else in this episode, it is completely thin. There's no weight to any of it, and the acting's so horrible across the board that you don't really accept any of it. Oh my god, most of it is this family drama about sort of promiscuous and like this potential rape that's happened, and then of course like other people in the town call her a liar and say that she's lied about being raped, and like some of the little jocks write whore outside her door. Everything that happens in this is so surface level obvious bullshit that I think you summed it up best. It feels like a Lifetime movie. It feels like a low budget made for TV examination of these cliches.
I would not be surprised at all if you told me that this was like a script for some drama show that someone was like, "Hey, we just got the rights to the mist. Throw some mist in there." And someone's like, okay.
It baffles me because it's not like if you took the core idea here, right? Family's teenage daughter goes to a party, passes out, is sexually assaulted, like. That could be a chilling tale that could be really dramatic and really affect the viewer. But none of that happens in this because, for one, we're just told these things. Secondly, the the acting is atrocious, and I don't believe a single word that's coming out of anyone's mouths. And it doesn't do anything remotely new or interesting with it. It just plays out all the same things you expect and you've seen 100 times before. Oh, it's the dumb jock and his dad's trying to protect him and so on. And it's obvious that he didn't do it. It's obvious that the twist is going to be that it wasn't him. Especially since the junkie lady like threatens the kid's name again. The guy, what's his name? Adrian.
Adrian.
Yeah. She threatens Adrian, and he has like a bit more bite to him, and he threatens to like lie about if you don't like treat me better, I'll tell the dad that you threatened me. And I'm like, so he's got a darker side. He's probably the one up to no good. So that seems really obvious. Not that I care.
And then again, if you just look at the movie, it's like everything that was interesting and good in the movie is not here. Like, we talked about how we liked that it was like a contained bottle thing where everyone's in this one location, and here it's like everyone's all spread out. And we talked about how much of a good villain Mrs. Carmody was, and here she dies in like 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, the equivalent. Yeah, the mother who's happy that she got fired because she's upset about her son learning about sexual education.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the only good moment actually, is her death, because like her face is half ripped off and it at least looks kind of interesting.
I thought it looked pretty silly, but again, at least it was a visual in a show that had no visuals up to that point.
Yeah.
I love the one cop that he was so enamored by the mist, he just had to get like 50 pictures of himself.
Yeah, he wanted a
selfie
for his wife for the missus, but a selfie in the mist is just you against a white background, essentially.
Yeah, if you can even see you. Like, what is so interesting about that? Like, bare minimum, maybe it's like, oh, this is a weird phenomenon. I want to get a picture of it. Get one.
A good picture to take would have been when it was rolling towards you and you could see the outside of it. That would have been a picture to take. That would have been a really cool image. But no, he takes an image of himself inside the mist where you can barely see anything. I really can't convey how much I hated this. How much the terrible acting and how much the sappy Lifetime movie quality writing was really just like, it got to the point where I was starting to shake my head at randomly at just scenes. Like it must have looked like I was having a fit. Just I was in such discomfort as I was watching them try to take these serious issues, these serious topics, and just splatter them across the screen with no care in the world. Ugh.
And how are they gonna stretch this out? Like, to I don't know how long this season is. I'm guessing it's
10 episodes.
Probably. I can't even imagine that. Like 3-4 episodes, maybe. But
here's the thing: there's only cockroaches in the mist. There might be something big later, but most of the stuff in the mist is the other people in the mist. This is a new thing they've added. People in the mist go psychotic, so there's some random crazy people running around in the mist, and that's kind of what they've done to save in the budget, is that we can just have people running around in there.
This is so ridiculous.
Do you know what it is? They watched our review, even though we hadn't done it yet until just there, but they basically predicted our review where we said, oh, in the mist, man is the real monster, and they took it literally, and they had just men running around in the mist.
Oh God! And it sucks because I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I want to support, even though I'm sure he had zero involvement in this, but I still want to support anything that has his name in some way attached.
I think the extent of his involvement in this is when he receives his check in the mail for royalties, perhaps, is maybe the only input he has.
Oh God. I get in a weird way, I don't want to watch any more of it, but I do kind of want to know what happens, just because it's
God, no.
crappy.
I want no part of the rest of this. Oh God. Awful. Is it the worst TV show I've watched this year? Worst new one? Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Do you do a worst of list for TV?
Oh, we
Like I know
do.
we do it for the movies. Oh, yeah.
We do specifically worst new because we don't
Okay.
keep watching them, so it kind of has to be just the new ones where we watch the pilots and went, oh god, no, this is awful.
Well, I can't imagine what would beat this.
Last year had a couple of things that would have beat it.
Mm.
A couple of right stinkers last year. But I don't want to just keep repeating myself, so I guess it's time to kind of wrap up. But Jesus, this was bad. This was bad.
I don't.
Nothing was scary. We've mentioned the acting being bad, the writing being terrible, the surface level social commentary. It's not even commentary. Like the great thing about The Mist is that it does the movie, I mean, is that it does things, and you start reading into it. You go, oh, this is kind of as a metaphor for this, and it's a metaphor for that. This just immediately within the first scene with dialogue is like, oh, kids need to be taught better sex ed.
And of course, we never see what she actually teaches.
No idea, not a clue.
Because it sounds like they were just mad at her for teaching sex ed, but I'm pretty sure that's like a requirement. Like you can't get mad at.
They were specifically mad because there were certain things she was approved to talk about X, Y, and Z, but she went on to talk about other things she thought were important. Like because one of them was a condom. They were mad that she talked to them about contraception.
Oh God.
Which
Strange.
which unfortunately is not far fetched. That's actually certain places are upset if you teach kids about contraception.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Because abstinence is the only option for some people, apparently.
Oh boy.
But that's the thing. It just immediately opens with that. There's no subtlety. There's no lead into it. It's just, here's what we're talking about. In fact, we're going to mention it several times in this scene to the point where the principal's like, I even agree with you, but these are the rules. Thanks for that. There's no reason to be interested in this show. Absolutely none. It is garbage. Do not watch it.
Yeah. I don't know if I have much more to say. This is awful. Easily, I don't watch that much TV, and I'm mad that I wasted an hour when I could have caught up with one of the 15 really good shows that I've missed out on this year.
That is valid. I mean, I don't necessarily mind it being in multiple locations. I guess that's how you kind of stretch it out. Honestly, I think at its core though, The Mist is just a stupid idea for a TV show.
I mean,
2-hour movie, perfect. Contained story, that's all you need.
Yeah.
10 hours of TV, not so
I
much.
No, maybe. Well, I was gonna say maybe I could see it as a mini series, but I feel like the movie did everything so well. I don't know what else you could do that the movie didn't already cover, aside from just doing a crappier version.
I mean, I guess we kind of joked about it, but you could almost do a companion movie where it's about the project and how it happened, and have more of a movie about how the scientists ambitions got in the way and were dangerous, and their own pride led to this. Yeah, you could do a movie like that. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying you should. But if you ask me what could be interesting, maybe that, or maybe in a sequel, some humans go to their dimension where the mist came from.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I don't know. But I just feel like there's options for you.
Probably wouldn't have been as good, but at least that maybe could have been interesting, and you could have been like, all right, well, I guess I see the reason why they wanted to do this.
This has no reason to exist. I do not understand who had this idea, why it came about. It is the definition of oh, let's use this because the name, it has name recognition. And honestly,
I feel like they wanted their own Walking Dead, but they're like, well, we can't just do zombies. Hey, we have this brand, but let's try to fill it with deep character moments and drama, and then it's none of that.
Yeah, I feel like they went looking for the rights to something, and whatever came up cheap enough, they got the rights to it and went, all right, let's build a show around that, without even thinking about what they were getting. They just build a show around this, and that's what it is. And oh god, no.
Yeah, it's everything about this was such a bummer. It's so bad.
I hated it. Anyway, that's the best TV show. Needless to say, there'll be no episode 2 review from us, so thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. See some of the bonuses over there. Of course, me and Tim do horror movies on Screams After Midnight on a regular basis, once, sometimes twice a week. And yeah, so check out those. And that is us. So thank you once again for watching. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?